Northwestern Chronicles, Episode 38, Terence Troubles. One day, as Terence was relaxing in a field, Thomas appeared with his coaches Annie and Clarabelle. "Hello, Thomas," greeted Terence. "What brings you to Finley's farm?" "I have some good news," said Thomas. "Sir Toppinhat is hosting a party to celebrate the return of Donald and Douglas. He wants you and some of the other road vehicles to help with the preparation." "Well, that sounds exciting," replied Terence. "I'll be happy to help out." "Great," said Thomas. "And don't forget to tell Farmer McColl. Sir Toppinhat wants him to prepare the food for the celebration." When Farmer McColl heard the news, he was excited too. "That's great news, Terence. I have some food you could bring to the Boxford summer residence for the party." "I'll get on it, sir." "That's a good tractor. Thank you, Terence." Terence found the crate of food and supplies and attached to the flatbed. But Terence struggled to start up and pull the crate. He tugged and tugged until he finally moved the crate along the road. But once he started, he moved slower than usual. As Terence continued, a loud crank sound came from inside Terence's gears. His axles ached as his caterpillar struggled against the ground, until he finally stopped. Terence was bewildered as his driver raced to examine his gears. "What happened?" "I'm sorry, Terence, but it seems you've strained some axles here. I think you've broken down." "Broken down?" Terence cried. "Well, can you fix me?" "These parts haven't been replaced since I first became your driver, Terence. From the looks of it, it could take months for the right parts to arrive." Terence sat in silence. When Thomas returned to McColl's farm, Terence remained unmoved. "Hello, Terence. Are you getting ready for the party?" "I've broken down," he said glumly. "But you've never broken down. What happened?" "My parts are too old. My driver says it will take months for the right parts to arrive." Thomas felt sad for Terence until an idea came to his mind. "I have an idea. Why don't we convince Sir Toppinhat to work extra hard to get the parts here before the party, and then we could work with each other to get the parts here as soon as possible." "That sounds like a great idea. But do you think Sir Toppinhat will agree?" "Don't worry, Terence. I'm sure he'll agree. You've done so much for the railway after all." That evening, Thomas gathered some engines and road vehicles at the turntable to discuss ways to help Terence. "And Sir Toppinhat said he would make sure the parts get here on time." "Well, it sounds like a good idea," began Toby. "How do you suppose we should help out?" "I know we're all very busy, but I figured we could work around our schedules to get the parts to Terence as fast as we can." "Thomas is right. The Fat Controller will be very busy, so we'll have to make all the plans. We'll also need to convince our crews and workmen to help out too. I can probably work the shipments into my mail trains." "I work at the docks from time to time," began Stanley. "I could probably help out there for sure." "Great," said Thomas. "I know it's not going to be easy, but Terence is a friend who's done a lot for the railway, and I think it's time we give back." The following day at the docks, Bulstrode the barge cruised into the pier with some heavy cargo. "Hey, Cranky!" Stanley shouted from below. "Who is that package for?" "Why do you care?" he replied flatly. "I want to know if they're the parts for Terence." "Oh," said Cranky. "Well, this one says it's designated for McColl's farm." "That's the one." "Well, here you go." Cranky added the cargo onto Stanley's train, who swiftly left the docks. Stanley came to the yard where Toby was waiting for him. "On time as usual, Stanley." "Thanks. Another shipment is coming later today, so I'll have to rush back to the docks after this." "Very good. I'll get this to Knapford as soon as I can." Some workmen moved the crate of parts to Toby's train, and he departed the yard. When Toby arrived at Knapford station, he found Edward and Bertie awaiting him. "Here are the parts. Bertie, are you ready?" "I am, but I don't know if these passengers are." "No, no," cried the passengers. "We want to help out Terence too. We've heard all the things he's done for the railway and want to help out." "Well, I stand corrected." Edward smiled. "Well, I'll see you at Elsbridge. Good luck." Before Edward left, some of the workmen and passengers moved the parts into Bertie, who roared out of the station. Bertie raced to Elsbridge station, where Edward was waiting with his passenger train. "Hello, Bertie. Do you have the parts?" "Yep," replied Bertie. "The passengers will carry them on." Bertie's passengers carried the parts for Terence like luggage onto Edward's train. As the last passengers boarded, Edward departed Elsbridge station. Later, Edward met up with Spencer outside of the drawbridge. Well, all of the parts have been loaded inside my coach. By the way, why did you want to stop here instead of a station? Well, since the drawbridge is a popular tourist destination, the Fat Controller says we should stop here so the passengers can admire the view. Makes sense. Good luck, Spencer. I'll see you later. Well, I'll see you later, Edward. With the parts loaded onto his coach, Spencer sped away. At last, Spencer arrived at McColl's farm. Here you go, Terence. Some fresh parts. Terence felt overwhelmed. Thank you. No problem. Looking forward to the party. As Spencer sped away, Farmer McColl opened the crate of parts. Thomas was also there, with Annie and Clarabelle. Hey, Thomas. Thanks for all you guys have been doing. No worries. It's our job to help each other out. I get why Spencer brought the parts, but why are you here with your coaches? Well, I figured your driver could use some help applying the parts. Just then, some workmen piled out of the coaches and began to work on Terence. Thank you, Thomas. Is there anything I could do? Just try and be at the welcome home party. That'll be more than enough. Will do, Thomas. I'll see you at the party. Finally, the day had come. The Fat Controller and some of his friends had gathered at the summer house of the Duke and Duchess of Oxford, who had opened their doors for the party. Some of the engines and road vehicles also gathered for this celebration. The director had called everyone to attention. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for being here. As you know, Donald and Douglas, two of my most trusted engines, left Sodor to visit their home in Scotland. And today, I'm happy to say that they've returned. And so, I've invited them to their own welcome home celebration, which has been humbly hosted by the Duke and Duchess of Oxford. So now, here they are, the Caledonian Twins. Donald and Douglas paraded onto the turntable, as cheers were heard from all around. Welcome home, said the Fat Controller. Thank you, sir, the twins replied. The food for tonight's celebration is being offered by Farmer McColl, who has offered Terence the tractor to bring the food and supplies for the party. Terence? Everyone watched closely as Terence rolled up beside the house, proudly carrying the crate of food. Everyone, let's give Terence a big thank you for his work for the railway. Thank you, Terence, for being very, very useful. And as the people gathered inside the home to celebrate, Terence knew he was a very useful tractor indeed.